What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Pizza Buffet live here on the Forward Progress YouTube channel, part of the Hammer Betting Network, and presented by Fanduel. I'm Rob Pizzola. I'm here with you for the next hour, breaking down every NFL game in rotation number order. For each matchup, I'm going to share how I currently price the side and the total on the game, and I'll give you some insight into my thought process as we head into the games here today. Before we dive in, a quick reminder, this is the worst time to be betting the NFL. You've had all week to find your edges. By now, you're betting into one of the most efficient markets in the world. Truth be told, I'm probably not beating the market at this stage. Years of results back that up. Been doing the show for many years now. People seem to really have an appetite for Sunday morning content. I totally get it, but just be really careful, especially on sides and totals. That said, if you're here for props, a little bit of a more beatable market, I'll share any that I like throughout the show. Here's the deal. If I give out a prop without mentioning a specific price, means I like it across the entire market. Good morning to everyone in the chat. See a lot of regulars in here, a lot of new people. Francesco Greco, regards from Italy. Good to see you, Francesco. Glad you're tuning in today. Let's not scare people away in the chat, please, if possible. Good morning to everyone else that is in here. As a reminder, if you catch breaking news in real time, drop it in the chat. My focus will be on the game previews. I'm not looking at my phone. I've closed the chat apps, but your updates are always appreciated. So breaking news in real time, drop it in here. Before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video if you can. Get it out to the masses. Let people know that this show exists. Maybe they come back for the rest of the year and early next year as well. It helps the channel grow, and it also ensures that you don't miss any of the great content here if you're sub here on Forward Progress. All right, let's get into it. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. I see a lot of people in the chat wondering what's happening behind the scenes. Producer Zach behind the scenes today. Just going to throw it out there. Zach is there?
Yeah.
You might notice that this stream will run a little more smoothly today, people. You may notice that. Jason is still got some stuff going on. We'll sort that this week. More to come on that. But we got Zach here today. All right, let's get it started. Rotation number order. We're starting with the Atlanta Falcons and the Minnesota Vikings, what is being dubbed as the Kirk Cousins revenge game. Really interesting market here. Tons of steam this morning on the over. I was more in line with where the market was previous to this steam, but we're all the way up to 47 in some spots, Fanduel 46.5. And the Vikings have been bet pretty consistently over the course of this week as well. We'll start with the Atlanta side because they're healthy on offense with the exception of possibly their quarterback. I don't know what's going on with Kirk Cousins. I watched the game last week, made some bad throws, looked like the velocity's gone. He's now had 3 straight games where he's had negative EPA, and it's been getting worse and worse and worse. With that said, he's not showing up on the weekly injury report. There's a lot going on here. Whether or not Cousins is healthy, I don't love the matchup. Minnesota blitzes at a very high rate, second highest in the league. Cousins has been below average versus the blitz this year, just a slightly positive EPA per dropback. His regular EPA per dropback is 0.18. Against the blitz, 0.04. Minnesota plays a lot of too high coverage, more than any other team in the league. Cousins, minus 0.12 EPA per dropback against too high defenses, hasn't been good. And on top of that, he doesn't have the running game to lean on in this particular matchup because the Vikings are so good at defending the run. Looks like Harrison Phillips is going to play. Looks like Andrew Van Ginkel is probably going to play. Stephon Gilmore out at corner. Potentially, they could potentially target Fabian Moreau there, who's a bad corner, as a secondary. But I'm not in love with the Atlanta offense. Other side of the ball, a lot is being made of the Falcons coming off a bye week last week and then finding a pass rush. I'm not so sure that they actually found a pass rush. Their havoc rate was pretty high. You do have to give them credit for that. But I think it was a lot to do with the Chargers scheme last week. If you watch that game, in particularly, you look at some higher level stats, some route trees, things of that nature, there weren't a lot of Chargers open. Coverage was really good for the Atlanta Falcons. Mike Hughes had 3 full practices this week, dealing with a neck injury, probably back today for Atlanta. Now, with that said, I still like the Vikings to be able to move the ball. It's whether or not they can score, because they're pretty efficient between the 20s. And they find ways not to put up big numbers. I don't have a very strong opinion at current market. I do think the totals moved a little bit too far here now that we're at 47. But again, the game day money is a lot sharper than me. So take that for what it's worth. From a prop perspective, I want to look at the rushing props in this game, because there's someone, in my opinion, who's been consistently underpriced, and the market has been slow to catch up to them. But Cam Akers at 21.5 rushing yards, it's been bet up a bit since yesterday. There was some 19.5 yesterday, 20.5 this offense in terms of snap counts and actually getting carries. He's averaging about 10 carries for the last month or so. Not 10 carries, less than that. But I like Cam Akers over on his rushing yards at 21.5. 21.5. Next game. Saints at the Giants. This one I do have an opinion on. The Giants injury report is one of the worst I've seen this year. It rivals what we saw of Carolina when they turned into a complete disaster of a team. Looking at the market here, this did get bet down to 5 earlier today at some books, now up to 5.5. If you do want to bet the Saints, Fanduel is probably going to be your spot to do so. Total in the game is sitting at 41, which is a key number as well. Let's start with the Saints offense here, because I think one of the large talking points has been around Taysom Hill being injured, and how the Saints historically have a lot worse success rates and EPA per play when Taysom Hill is not on the field, especially in the red zone as well. It's hurt the red zone efficiency. Saw Suma, who's in the chat, and Judah give the Saints as their best bets this week. As this week has gone on, it is a disaster for the New York Giants defense. I mean, we're talking about Dexter Lawrence on IR, their best defensive player. But when we just look at the entire situation for them, Raheem Nunez-Roches is out on the defensive line. His backup, DJ Davidson, is also out. It's not just Dexter Lawrence, it's the entirety of this defensive line. Jordan Riley, who would be Dexter Lawrence's backup, is dealing with a knee injury, probably playing today, but not effective. Bobby Okereke has a back injury in the linebacking core. Deonte Banks, who's not a good corner, but is a starter, is out with a rib injury. Cordell Flott was added to the injury report yesterday morning with a quad and knee injury. Drew Phillips, their slot corner, shoulder injury, didn't practice on Friday. This is not a semblance of an NFL defense. They were already bad. Like, we look at what the Giants defense has been trending towards over the past couple months. They've turned into a bottom 5 defense. This is beyond explainable in terms of personnel today. I think New Orleans is going to score. Even without Taysom Hill, even without Chris Olave, even without Rashid Shaheed. They don't have a lot of playmakers. But one thing about Derek Carr, if he doesn't get pressured, he has time. He will beat you. He will beat you. I will say, counterintuitive to everything I just said right now about the Saints offense, there is one player I think is overpriced in the receiving yardage market, and that is Juwan Johnson. Juwan Johnson is in the mid-30s right now, which is understandable because he got 7 targets last week. I would play under Juwan Johnson at 34.5. He has pretty consistently been priced in the mid-20s going back a month, and we are seeing a massive Massive upgrade here. So Jawan Johnson under as a prop look. On the other side, we don't know what's going on with Malik Neighbors. He's dealing with the groin injury. There's talks that he could, if he plays, he'll be a decoy, limited on snaps. We do know their left tackle, Jermaine Illuminor, is missing due to injury. Chris Hubbard, who would be the backup, who is their third left tackle on the roster because Andrew Thomas is on IR, he didn't practice Friday with a knee injury. It's rough. I get that the Saints defense is bad. And listen, there is a path to success for the Giants running the ball here. And maybe Tyrone Tracy has a game where he doesn't fumble. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. But overall, there is a large gap between these two teams. I can't get there. This is a massive, catastrophic injury report for the Giants. And listen, it's the NFL. Could the Giants win the game? Of course they could. I'll never be surprised by any outcome, but I'm surprised at the lack of market movement towards the Saints as the week has progressed and as we have seen this injury report. Third game on the agenda is a game I don't want to spend too much time on. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Tennessee Titans. Of note today, Jacksonville takes a little bit more money this morning. They're now at a flat 3 on the board, and the total was bet up overnight as well, which I fully agree with. I was going to come on this morning and advocate a little bit for the over. However, we're kind of getting priced into that range right now. Not a lot to say here other than that Tennessee's defense is more beat up than people seem to realize. I don't have the full extent of who's playing and who's not, but they did have Tavondre Sweat, their nose tackle, go 3 times DNP this week. Kenneth Murray, 3 times DNP. Jerome Baker, 2 times DNP. Jarvis Brownlee, one of their starting corners, didn't practice with a hip injury on Friday. Roger McCreary, their slot corner, 3 times DNP. Some of that was weird. Like the reporting out of Titans beat reporters was kind of weird in that like some of these guys didn't practice, but they're expected to play. I don't have the full picture there. I think the market has kind of now faded all of that injury stuff, and we're in a pretty healthy range. Not too much going on for me here. From a prop perspective, another one I like here. I'm not going to give out a prop on every game, but I like Evan Ingram over 5.5 receptions. You got to get it at plus money. There's some books that have moved to minus money. I don't think FanDuel's best in market here. You can find like plus 115s out there, but Evan Ingram over on receptions. He is getting an obscene amount of targets, whether it's Mac Jones or Trevor Lawrence. And today it's Mac Jones. 4 straight games, 7+ targets. I think at plus money, you take a shot there. On the other side, not much to say. I don't love the Titans offense, but Jacksonville is a pass funnel defense. They do give up a lot of explosive plays. They've given up 940 pass yards on throws that have been 20+ yards downfield. 940. There are only 4 teams in the league above 700. So I do think there's some explosives in there for the Titans today, which is why I get towards the over. Just want to answer or respond to one comment in the chat because there's a lot of new people in here this morning. Welcome, by the way. Nathan said everyone is on the Saints. I don't care who anyone is on. I really don't. I've gone in this spiel before, but it's a really quick opportunity for me to say it one more time. But a reminder that sportsbooks make their money because of the VIG. So, for example, let's say you wanted to take a side. Let's use the Saints and Giants as an example today. But you want to fade the Saints because everyone's on the Saints, right? Well, the sportsbook is taking bets on the Saints minus 5.5, and they're getting plus 110 as a sportsbook because other people are paying minus 110. Now, if you want to go the other side, you're not able to get the other side at plus 110 like the sportsbook is. You have to pay minus 110. It is a very big difference. I think people just would be better served to predict what's going to happen in the games independent of what everybody is on. That's my spiel on that. That doesn't mean the Saints are going to cover today or anything, or the Giants can't. It's I don't look at public bet percentages. And I also think, and we'll get to this over the course of the show today, a lot of the situational stuff that people talk about nowadays is non-existent, is not even remotely a factor. It doesn't take that much to actually go back. Like if you think revenge angles are a thing or there's a certain situational spot, it doesn't actually take that much effort to go back and actually prove it out and what it actually is worth. That's all I'll say to that. All right. Before we get into our fourth game, make sure you bet the NFL season on Fanduel, America's #1 sportsbook. I personally love Fanduel. I think it's a great product. It's very easy to use and navigate on mobile, on web. There's tons of betting options. They're very fair with their customers, especially on prop limits. And the in-game experience, I think, is the best in market right now. Right now, all customers get a profit boost every single NFL game day. That means you can pump up your gridiron winnings multiple times a week. Today is Sunday, meaning there is a same-game parlay profit boost token, which you can use on any game on the slate. It used to only be Sunday Night Football, but you can use it on any game on the slate today. FanDuel has tons of ways you can get in on the NFL action. You can bet on money line, spreads, player props, and more. Plus, with super simple live betting, lightning fast bet settlement, and instant withdrawals, FanDuel makes betting on the NFL easier than ever before. Just visit FanDuel.com/forwardprogress to download FanDuel today. You must be 21 plus and present in select states or 18 plus and present in DC. Opt-ins required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including token expiration. See terms for offers at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. All right. Chat is cooking today. Lots of comments. Really enjoy it. Really enjoy it. Okay. Fourth game. We got the Raiders at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Rematch of Super Bowl from my youth, from my childhood, in which Rich Gannon threw 5 interceptions in that particular game. Taking a look at the betting market here. Most books off of the 7 down to 6.5, including FanDuel. Some that are out there at 7 are shaded heavily towards the Raiders. Over money in this game as well. We have been bet up to a key number of 47 at a lot of spots, 46.5 elsewhere. I talked about this on Pizza Buffet on Wednesday with a lean towards the over at 47. Probably not anything to do anymore at this point, especially on game day. We do know that the Raiders offense down a couple running backs again. Madison and Zamir White won't play. That means you get Amir Abdullah and Sincere McCormick. Jacoby Myers is good to go in this game. Defensive injuries on the Bucs side. KJ Britt is out. Mike Edwards is out at safety. Jordan Whitehead is already on IR, so they're getting thin at safety. Also injuries to Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, their strong side linebacker. Tyke Smith is banged up with an ankle injury as well. Tough to know what to make of Aiden O'Connell. Very up and down career. Shows some flashes. Also has some games where he is a complete disaster. Played very well against Kansas City last week. If you look at the output for the Raiders in terms of total scoring, it's a little bit misleading when you consider how well the Raiders actually moved that ball in that game. Just some untimely stuff. Obviously, the fumble at the end of the game, few missed field goals as well. In particular with AOC in his career, he's actually been very good against the blitz. If you look at last season, he was blitzed 103 times. He had a 0.12 EPA per play. That was top 10 in the league last season. This year, much smaller sample because he's played less games. Blitzed 30 times, second highest EPA per blitz, EPA per play against the blitz. And you have Tampa Bay, who's the highest blitzing team in the league. So I kind of like that for them. I do. And just the secondary situation with Tampa Bay not being the greatest and the fact that they are a pass funnel defense. I like the Raiders to move the ball. Problem is I don't like the Raiders defense. Nate Hobbs is out again. Slot corner, ankle injury. Jacorian Bennett is on IR cornerback situation is pretty bad there. And I do think Baker Mayfield can tear up this defense. Bucky Irving's going to go. That's huge. He has a very good EPA per rush, the best of any Tampa Bay Buccaneer in the last 25 years. Tackle play is solid for the Bucs, especially Tristan Wirfs, but even Luke Goedeke on the right side, which is very important when you're going up against the Raiders. Obviously, Tristan Wirfs hasn't allowed a sack yet this year. Tough one, but kind of just agree with where the market is settled at right now. Not much more to go on for this particular game. Michael Burns asks, you like the over? So you see the numbers come up on the screen before every single game. You can use those however you want. Now, I'd say at this point, over has been bet out. And for this particular one, I'm pretty close to being on market at this point. All right. Cleveland and Pittsburgh. Sitting on 6.5, pretty much across the board. Shaded a little bit more towards the Pittsburgh Steelers in this game. Total was bet down through 44 down to 43.5. I want to talk about that a little bit. 44 being a key number. So this is the only game on the board today where you potentially have some weather concerns, although it's not much. You're going to get a little bit of a windy game in Pittsburgh. Just checking the forecast in front of me right now. Around 15-mile-an-hour winds. You can get some stronger gusts. And the winds will go down progressively as the game goes on, which is interesting of note as well if you're a total bettor. Maybe the old inverse correlation, first half under, second half over type of thing. Start with the Cleveland offense because we saw them on Monday Night Football, and we kind of know what the Cleveland offense is at this point. It's very boom or bust, and the bust ends up with 6 points the other way. Cedric Tillman's still out. Jamari Thrash was dealing with a shoulder injury. Jedrick Wills got put on IR, so they're without their left tackle again. That's the biggest issue in this game because Alex Highsmith returns. You now have TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig, and that's a problem because the Browns have become this pass-heavy team. If you look at since Jameis has taken over, neutral game situations, they're the third highest pass rate over expectation in the NFL. That also includes a game against Pittsburgh, which they played in the snow, where you wouldn't expect all that much passing. That's fine, and they can move the ball through the air, but they are not going to be without big mistake plays and some pressure on Jameis in this particular game. That will be chaotic. The other side, we know Pickens is playing. His effectiveness, not sure. Hamstring injury added to the injury report on Friday. That's a tough one. And ultimately, that's enough where I would be concerned about playing an over now at this point, even though my numbers agree. Russell Wilson is playing really well. He's going up against a defense that gives up a lot of explosive pass plays through the air. He takes shots downfield. The Browns have been susceptible to the deep ball all season long. No team gets thrown on deeper more than the Cleveland Browns, and they give up a lot of those. I will say, though, Pittsburgh has followed this trend with the Cleveland Browns in that they have become a pass-first team. I never thought we would see the day when I saw the Steelers at the beginning of the year. But we look at neutral game state, this team is throwing the ball way more than I ever anticipated. From a prop perspective, I don't know that the market has caught up to this necessarily. Russell Wilson in the completions market, I think is too low. Fanduel's got a juiced 18.5, which I like. There's other spots that have 19.5 at plus money. I'm also fine with those as well. I think this is priced too low for how pass heavy the Pittsburgh Steelers have become. Just lean Cleveland in this game, but I would need a full 7 to play Cleveland at this point. Not going to happen. And if we were to get there, I'm not sure I could actually fire because I do think you get a situation here where Jameis is under siege for a lot of this game. Panthers, Eagles. Not the most interesting game, but we can bet on it. One-way stream of money on the Eagles this morning, as Philly is now out to 14 across the board. This total was bet up early in the week, and it's since been bet down back to 45. I am right on the number here. I make this game Philly 14, the total right above 45. I don't think there's anything to do at this current point. I will make a very small breakdown for those who are interested. The Carolina offense has looked a lot better in these weeks since Bryce Young has come back. But if we look at the teams they faced, let's go backwards. Bucs, bad defense. Chiefs, both of these pass funnel defenses, by the way. Giants, Saints, those are 4 bottom 10 defenses right now in a row. Prior to that, they faced the Broncos. Guess what? They couldn't move the ball in that game. They scored on a scripted drive. They did nothing for the entire game. This is the biggest step up. The biggest step up. And I'm not sure, even with Reed Blankenship out with a concussion, his backup, Sidney Brown, is out. The Carolina is not going to be the team that I think can exploit that, really. I do like a prop on the Panthers side. This is purely because of usage. I think trending up and up. It's the rushing yards market. It's not Chuba Hubbard. It's Jonathan Brooks. Over 18.5 rushing yards. Oh, it's up to 21.5. Abort. Done. I checked this like 10 minutes ago. Don't bet it. Don't bet 21.5. Don't chase the number. Don't chase it. Wish we could. Other side, Philly's going to run the ball at will. Jadeveon Clowney's out in the front 7 for the Panthers. Even with Dallas Goedert on IR, they get Devontae Smith back. And for some reason, if they're not able to run the ball, which I find to be, I just can't see it happening. But if it does happen, let's say Carolina stacks the box on every play, well, then they're just going to get killed through the air. Carolina can't pressure the quarterback, 18% pressure rate, dead last in the league. Jalen Hurts, 0.45 EPA per dropback when he's not pressured. That's tops in the league. There's just not a lot of paths to success for the Panthers defense. This is the game where people are like, well, the spot, it's a sandwich spot for the Eagles. Again, we can quantify these situations. These things used to be a thing in the NFL 20 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago. But over time, we've seen this either get, it's relative to market expectations in these types of situations, teams aren't underperforming. Again, that's not to say that it's like a guarantee that the Eagles show up today. People build these narratives in their head, right? I get it. Off a big win, big game coming up next week. This is the inferior opponent, sure. But we have not seen that actually matter for a long time right now. For a long time. Okay. Jets at Dolphins. This is a game I have an opinion on. If we look at the market of this game, we're sitting flat 6 in most spots, 45.5 total. I have my theories as to why the Jets get bet every single week. I personally have been on that train a few times. Once against Arizona, didn't really work out all that much. I think this is a terrible, terrible situation for the Jets. If we, I did the show last Sunday with Clive, and we were talking about this game in particular and all the injuries Miami suffered against Green Bay. Well, that injury report got so much better as the week went on, and the Jets got so much worse. Start with the Jets side of the ball. Breece Hall is out. Listen, it's a running back loss, not the end of the world. Braylon Allen will be fine. They're beat up on the O-line. Several players with limited practices this week. Their left tackle, Olu Fashanu, who's filling in for Tyron Smith, who's on IR. Elijah Vera-Tucker, Morgan Moses, toe injury, ankle injury, knee and shoulder injury, respectively. It's not been a good offense for a while. Cam Smith goes on IR for the Dolphins defense, but they get Kendall Fuller back. Their slot corner, Kader Kohu, got injured last week, went through 3 practices this week, probably going to play. Inside linebacker, Anthony Walker, full practice on Friday with a hamstring injury, probably back as well. You now get the Dolphins defense back close to full strength. The Jets don't block well. This Miami defensive front can get a lot of pressure, especially on the interior. I don't think Alan Lazard coming back for the Jets is going to fundamentally change things. But most importantly for me with this matchup is the Dolphins defense does not give up explosive plays. Last year, they gave up 1 million. This year, they've only given up 24 explosive pass plays. That's the fewest this season in the NFL. And that means the Jets have to methodically work their way downfield without making mistakes. And the team is not capable of doing that. They take bad sacks. They take penalties. They just don't have it in them to work downfield and not make mistakes. On the Jets side, in the receptions market, Davante Adams over. I'm actually just seeing on the screen right now, George Pickens will not play. That would remove my opinion on the over, by the way. And there will be some Browns money that comes in right now, if you want to click right away. Just wanted to interrupt that right away. Davante Adams, over 5.5, minus 120. I like it. 43 targets in his last 4 games. Again, I don't think Alan Lazard coming back is going to take away a ton of targets here. I think the Jets are going to be trailing a lot in this game. I like Davante Adams over on receptions. Other side of the ball, okay, Raheem Mostert, whatever. Not going to play. Not a big deal to me. The big deal is Sauce Gardner is out with a hamstring injury. His backup, Quantez Stiggers, who would come in, is also out. The Jets' defense has been an abomination since they fired Robert Saleh. They went from above average in terms of missed tackles, in the sense that they weren't missing any, to now the 4th most missed tackles in the entire league at 91. They're not defending the run. They're not defending the pass. This is a very efficient Miami offense. Forget about the final score at Lambeau last week. Box score metrics were way better than the 17 that they actually put up. 6.6 yards per play on that defense. They stalled on the other side of midfield a few times, didn't convert some 4th downs in that game. I feel very strongly that they'll be able to move the ball on this Jets defense. This is the second game of the day where I like alternate props. Miami alternate spreads, I've played a bunch. Saints alternate spreads, I've played a bunch. If we go all the way out to like Miami minus 14.5 here, Zach, you can get some pretty decent prices. Almost 3-1 on those. Don't hate that at all. What is the Adams prop? Adams prop is just over on receptions. Russ completions is probably even more of a go. Well, you know what? I have to rerun that. I have to rerun that. It's actually good point to bring it up. Late games today. We got 3 of them in the late window. I wish we had more in the late window. I hate the three game day. Seattle, Arizona. That's where we'll start it in the NFC West. Haven't really had strong opinions on this game this week. I'm very interested in watching it because I know people on opposite sides of this game, but we've kind of hit really expensive 2.5s on Arizona or 3 plus 100. I'm very much in that range. I'm very much in the range on the total. I don't see anything significant to do here. Kenneth Walker being out will hurt the Seahawks offense because Zach Charbonnet is not that guy. He's not. The Seahawks offense is really interesting because the eye test sometimes doesn't pass what I see in the metrics. And that's often I watch the Seattle offense and I see some big explosive pass plays, Geno slinging it downfield. It looks good, but it's really not that succinct. Geno has the second most EPA lost in the league from interceptions, but third most from sacks. And that has been a huge problem all season long. He takes untimely sacks. He's not situationally aware. And this is a defense that can cause confusion. They don't have the best personnel, the Arizona Cardinals defense, but they have overcome that all year. Nick Rallis, their defensive coordinator, has done a really good job. We saw this a couple weeks ago. Granted, that was in rainy conditions in Seattle, typical mid-November game. This will be better. And historically, we've seen Geno perform better in these types of conditions, but I'm not convinced on their ability to move the ball consistently because they take so many negative plays. Other side of things, I do like the Seattle defense. They're healthy. They get Uchenna Nwosu back at edge. This is an Arizona Cardinals offense that to start the year was highly, highly efficient when they got to the red zone. And now they're not. Past 3 weeks, 12.5% red zone efficiency in terms of scoring touchdowns. That's where the Cardinals have mainly fallen off. I think that this number and price is fine for the game. Someone might say to me, well, you don't like either offense. Why would your number come in right here on market? Why wouldn't you like the under? I mean, it's just a matter of price, really. It's not like I think either team is. I mean, listen, we could see a 16-6 game again. And by the way, one of the touchdowns in that game was a defensive touchdown. But tough one. I don't really have anything going on there. Bills and Rams is our next one. And we are getting, at least this morning, a little bit more Rams money. We were close to getting down to a 3, but most books across the board, including Fanduel, 3.5 right now. Total in the game is sitting at 50 here. I have a lean to the Bills in this game. It's not a super valuable bet when the market is 3.5 and you have to, you make it 4. Again, this follows a lot of similar situational patterns that people have been talking about. The Bills are coming off of a very big win. They have to travel out to the West Coast. Bills are playing for home field in the AFC. It's not just the division that they're playing for. There's still plenty to play for. This is also probably going to sound like a Buffalo Bills home game with the amount of people that I know that are Bills fans that are just attending. Everyone's thinking the same thing. It's fucking cold in Buffalo right now. Let's go to LA for the weekend and watch our Bills play. And the Bills are a very good football team. We'll have to wait to see on Keon Coleman and Dalton Kincaid here. Obviously, all of that matters. But this is an offense that has the MVP, in my opinion, that consistently moves the ball on the ground and through the air on a weekly basis. Yes, the Rams D has had some games where they really hold up, but this Rams D also takes steps up in class and tends to get shredded in a lot of them. I think the Rams and Dolphins are kind of similar in a sense that They often find themselves in situations where they really stomp these bad teams or beat up on bad teams, win by margin. They take steps up in class, and they're just not as good as those top-tier teams. We'll see what the Rams offense can do today. It's been a real struggle for them, especially on third down. They're 30th in the league in third down conversions, 32.6%, 31st in EPA per play on third down. Cooper Kupp is frankly a shell of his former self right now. It's one of the issues that the Rams have had is that teams are keying in on Puka Nacua. Nobody else can separate lately. Saw the Saints do this a lot last week, and it really took the Rams a long time to get going. Granted, Matthew Stafford hurt his ankle in that game as well. Now, there is a path to success for the Rams here, and that's running the ball on Buffalo. Bills got Matt Milano back last week. Didn't really help them stop the run against the 49ers, and maybe that's where they have some success. But ultimately, I still think that there's a wider gap than the current market price on these two teams. Pretty strong lean to Buffalo. Might be another quote-unquote square side, but that's where I'm at. Malik Neighbors active today. I was expecting active, seemed that way. But, yeah. All right, final game in the late window is the Bears at 49ers. I have had a real challenge pricing this game at the majority of points this week. I am sitting on a Bears ticket here, and that was purely because of the way I thought things were going to play out. Market has settled in at 3 being the number, and the total in the game, 43.5. And I'm kind of just there right now. I do have concerns about the Bears offense, particularly how they have struggled away from home this year. It's not something that I pay a lot of attention to, but it's very much in the forefront when you look at the Bears this season. 4.3 yards per play in 5 road games, 36% success rate. They've struggled. DeAndre Swift is beat up, but will play. Roshan Johnson's out with a concussion. DJ Moore, quad injury, but he's playing. Ryan Bates, their center, is out with a concussion. Coleman Shelton's the backup there. I think he's pretty serviceable. But Nick Bosa being out is still big. They do get Diamador Lenoir back on defense, and the defense is getting healthier for San Fran. But I'm not sure that this defensive line is really capable of winning that much anymore with Bosa on the sidelines. I am going to look at DeAndre Swift under on receptions in this game, purely because of a couple things. Well, one, he comes in with a pre-existing injury, which is always important. It's a soft tissue injury. It's a quad. Don't know what his explosiveness is going to be like. So you have the upside of potential injury. He doesn't get many targets to begin with either, is the other reason. I kind of already liked it, and then I just like it a little bit more. So DeAndre Swift under, careful in calling me not a Swiftie, because I don't want the Swifties to come after me. This is a joke that James is making. But yeah, under 2.5. It's a little bit chalky, minus 140. I think that there is value there. Be interesting to see what this Bears offense looks like now. Get another promotion for their OC to head coach without Eberflus. Traditionally, this is actually a situation that has mattered before. I just don't know, honestly. I really am struggling with this game and the way to price it. Same with the San Fran offense. CMC is on IR. Jordan Mason's out. So you got Isaac Guerrero, Patrick Taylor. You're missing your stud left tackle and Trent Williams. It's a lot to process. Probably get Debo a little bit more in the running game today. And that's the way to attack the Bears right now because Andrew Billings is still on IR. They've been giving up some rushing yards. But are the 49ers going to be able to go power running game without Trent Williams and with Isaac Guerrero as the feature back? I'm not sure. Real tough game. Real tough game for me. Finally, Sunday Night Football. Should be a good one. I'll be on air with Clive Bixby for this one, 8 p.m. Eastern time tonight. You can join me pregame. I'll go through all the props I like for this game and break it down even further. Chargers, Chiefs. Market's kind of gone all over the place this week because there was the thought that Ladd McConkey wasn't going to play earlier this week. He's trending towards playing. We've now settled in at 4, and the total in the game roughly around 43 as well. I lean slightly to the Chiefs in this particular game. It's really tough, and I understand all the reasons why someone would not want to bet the Chiefs. They have not been very good recently. Offensively, they've struggled big time at the tackle position. It's led to Mahomes taking sacks that are kind of unheard of, and you can see the frustration on the field after he takes these sacks. DJ Humphries is going to start at left tackle today. Whether he's an upgrade or not in the first game, I couldn't tell you. Just signed a few weeks back, but I cannot imagine a downgrade from what they've had at left tackle this year. I think that's impactful. Denzel Perryman is out in the inside linebacking core for the Chargers. This will be a good test for KC. They struggled to move the ball in the Chargers earlier this year, but now left tackle upgrade and Chargers missing someone who makes a lot of tackles within their linebacking core. It has been missing for a while. I'm most concerned about the other side of things, though. And it sounds really dumb to say because ever since Jalen Watson went down for the Chiefs, teams have really been able to throw the ball on them. But I've downgraded the Chargers offense quite a bit. You look at the past 3 weeks, Justin Herbert's numbers have kind of fallen off. Got sacked 5 times against Atlanta last week. His expected completion percentage over the past 3 weeks is 32nd in the league. They're not scheming up good plays right now. The Greg Roman offense is not working. They're also missing J.K. Dobbins at running back. And that to me is big. They couldn't run the ball on Atlanta last week, which is one of the worst run defenses in the league. Gus Edwards is not J.K. Dobbins. I don't know that the Chargers match up all that well in terms of ability to exploit this defense right now. I got to disagree. DJ Humphries at left tackle, it won't help their sack issues much unless they get Josh Allen at QB as well. Mahomes is like the best quarterback in terms of sack avoidance in the history of the NFL. It has to help. It has to. All right. That's the whole rundown for today. So against current market numbers, looks like the sides I would like the most are the Saints and the Dolphins. A reminder to, by the way, I bet these sides pretty heavily this week, so I am rooting for them. Packers, Saints, Dolphins, sides that I like quite a bit. But a reminder, listen, it's very tough to beat the market at this time. I got to be real with myself, and it is what it is. Leans to the Bills and Chiefs as well. For totals, I think I'm off the Steelers over, or else that would have been, I'm not off it. I have the Steelers over. I'm stuck with it. I just don't, I'm not going to recommend it to anyone else at this point. Prop recap. Sure. I'll do a quick prop recap. I rarely do this. Bears, DeAndre Swift under on receptions. Again, shop around as best as you can. It all matters. A lot of these prices are best price in market at Fanduel, but always want to do what you can to get the best price. Leverage betstamp or betstamp Pro if you use it as well to make sure you get the best price on all of these. That was one. Devontae Adams over on receptions. We scrapped Jonathan Brooks because it moved a little bit too much. Going to just put pause on Russell Wilson for now as well. as I haven't been able to run that in game. We went Evan Ingram over on receptions at 5.5 plus money. Juwan Johnson under receiving yards for the Saints, just because there's been so much of an adjustment from week to week. And Cam Akers over rush yards for the Vikings, as he's been getting a little more of a whirl in recent weeks as well. Okay. Let's go to props here. Anytime touchdown scorer market. Again, I think this is one of the most fun markets to bet, but also one of the worst markets to bet. That said, I do bet it every week, but you gotta shop around, because there's so much hold built into this market that it is really tough to find good value on the board. All right, that's the preamble. Let's get to it. Let's start with the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Tennessee Titans. We can open up our Fanduel accounts for Jags and Titans and go into anytime touchdown scorer market. And we're going to go with someone who hasn't scored a touchdown this year. Not a single one. Keep scrolling, Zach. Keep scrolling. Tyler Boyd. I think 6-1. Maybe we passed him now. Maybe he scrolled too much. Tyler Boyd. They just got bet. But it's good. 550 is fine as well. Anything 5-1 or higher. Again, hasn't found the end zone. He's consistently getting 4 or 5 targets a game. He is in the red zone offensive packages, and he's facing one of the biggest pass funnel defenses in the NFL. I'm going there. Next, Sunday Night Football. Chargers and Chiefs. We're going to open up the Chargers and Chiefs market. Great point, Cottage, by the way. That's why I say you got to shop around. FanDuel has the best prices on a lot of these. We're scrolling down to the dregs of the Kansas City receiving offense to take Juju Smith-Schuster at 8-1. 8-1, Juju Smith-Schuster. Playing the same amount of snaps as DeAndre Hopkins and Xavier Worthy. And yes, there's 4 receivers there. Worthy, Watson, Juju, Hopkins. Mecole Hardman goes on IR. But same reason. This is price, purely a price play. 8-1, Juju Smith-Schuster. Tyler Boyd, 6-1. Juju Smith-Schuster at 8-1. And this is just a gut feeling that I'm going to go with the last one here. This is just a gut feeling. We're going to go Cleveland and Pittsburgh. Cleveland Browns, Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't trust the Cleveland Browns rush game very much. I think Chubb is kind of washed. Jerome Ford, I'm going Jameis Winston, 13-1, anytime touchdown. 12-1, moving in real time. 12-1, anytime touchdown. You might ask me, Rob, what's the math behind this? I'm going to tell you, there ain't no math behind this. I woke up today. I said, Jameis is getting into the end zone. I looked at the price. It was 13-1. 12-1 is not bad. I would still play it. In fact, I'll play more at 12-1 now, just so that I'm not that guy that's recommending stuff at bad numbers. Again, the likelihood that we go 0-3 today on these is more than 50%. 12-1, 8-1, and Tyler Boyd hasn't scored a touchdown all season. Know that I've played all these bets along with you. Sucks if they lose. It's great if they win. Such is life. We're betting on sports. Cottage asked, any worthwhile props with Pickens out? I saw them all get stripped down off the board and reposted. I haven't had a chance to go through them yet, but I think the opportunity is probably passed at this point. I think the opportunity has probably passed there. So not much more that we can do at this point. What happened to all the board games? It's packing time, boys. I'm moving this Thursday. Everything must go. They're all in boxes. They're all in boxes. All right. That's going to be it for me today. A reminder, back here tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern time. It's Chiefs, Chargers. I'll go live right at 8 before the game. I'll give out all the props I like for the game, including an SGP, as we always do. Again, those have been hitting a lot recently. Can't say that it's going to hit tonight, but we'll try to find some value. Clive will join me for the first half. We're going to pull up the Week 15 lines at Fanduel, take an early look, try to find some value for everyone on those. Just out of curiosity, I can pull up what we were talking about last week, see if we ended up getting some good numbers. This could be a great sales pitch or it could be a terrible sales pitch. Let's see. Dallas +6 at Cincinnati, looking good. Oh, we gave Carolina. That was terrible. What a terrible, terrible decision. Miami over 26.5 versus the Jets from Clive as a team total. I really like that a lot. Oh, yeah. And we can check out Clive's new chair that he purchased. Second half, the usual, watching the game, Chiefs, Chargers down the stretch. Appreciate everyone in here. Smash that like button on the way out the door. Make sure you're subbed here on Forward Progress. We got to get to 10K. Let's get to 10K on Forward Progress. Seriously, if you watch every week and you're not subbed, just hit that subscribe button. Even if you want to turn off notifications, it goes a long way. It's a pure vanity metric, but it makes us look good. Helps a lot. That's it for me. If you are with me today, good luck to your bets. If you're against me, I can't wish you good luck on those, but good luck on everything else. I'll see you back here tonight on Forward Progress. This has been the Pizza Buffet Week 14 in the NFL presented by FanDuel. Peace out, everyone. Enjoy your NFL Sunday.